Assalamu alaikum and welcome to The Entrepreneur. And today's guest is particularly interesting because you'll see why. He's a young chap, but he's followed in his forefathers' footsteps. So his granddad started off the business, and then his father, and then he took over and gave it a really good twist. So I'd like to welcome Suhel Ahmed. Suhel Ahmed, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum, Sharif Uncle. How are you? Okay?
Fantastic, fantastic. I'm very, very happy to have you on the show because we don't always have youngsters. We have, the OGs, as they like to say.
I'm not that young.
Well, you look young, and we're not going to discuss your age.
No.
You're still young.
Let's not. Let's keep it a secret.
For our viewers, they can see that you're a young chap and who's, took an interest in business. So tell me, Suhel, first of all, from a young age, what got you interested? And I'm sure you had sort of, pressure, peer pressure, also family pressure that, the normal jobs that we want our kids to be doctors and solicitors and so forth, but you didn't do that. So tell me about yourself.
Okay, where do I start? That our family is one of the first Indian restaurants in London. Yeah. My granddad, he came to this country at a very young age, and he started off Tandoori in the 70s. Right. My dad and my uncle, who were very young at the time, they helped him, and they grew the business. They expanded the business. They also went into other businesses. And so having those role models in my life from a very young age, it naturally, even if you're not sort of a confident person or a business-minded person, you almost naturally become, who you spend most of your time with. And your dad is obviously, everyone's dad plays a huge part in their lives. My dad, especially, he's a business-minded person. He is a businessman, and he's also I would say, a inspirational person and a community leader. So all those positives have kind of shaped the way I am, but not only the people that are older than me in my family, but the younger people also. My younger brothers, they have also played a kind of a role in shaping the way I think about business.
Right,
so that's what
the reason I didn't mention the specific business in the beginning, Tandoori, is because you're also involved in many other businesses, and that's what an entrepreneur is about. So Airbnb, and I didn't mention Tandoori in the beginning, did I? I just went straight to Suhel Ahmed. Now, you said that you got inspired by your granddad, and obviously he passed away when you were a little baby, right?
Yeah.
But the stories that he left behind,
yeah.
and that everything that you learnt about him, you wanted to sort of follow in that footsteps. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. So look, he passed away when I was only 3 years old, but my grandfather came to this country at a very young age. And he also was involved in lots of businesses even before Tandoori, So you hear of the stories. In a way, you are kind of wired in that way because your grandfather, your dad, your uncle, everybody's involved in business. So
what else did he do before he got into the Indian trade?
My grandfather was a tailor. Wow. Well, he worked as a tailor to start off with. But then he also had other food businesses. Right. He was mainly, I would say, his main business was property.
Okay.
And to this day, we are still collecting rent from his properties, so which is a very fortunate thing, alhamdulillah. Right. And my dad and uncle, they followed in their father's footsteps.
Great. And
I think we have also, my brothers and I, we followed in our father's footsteps.
Oh. So you've kept on, carried on the legacy and so forth. Yeah. Now, everybody's not the same. So, a lot of people, they don't have anybody prior to themselves in the business or an entrepreneur or anything like that. They start off suddenly. But you followed that. You've seen what they did. You liked it. You wanted to be in that trade. And like I said before, Tandoori is just one of the businesses, a family business that's been going on for ages, from the 70s, right?
Yes.
But you're involved in properties, Airbnb, something else that you mentioned as well earlier on.
Social media marketing, lots of.
So what I'm trying to get to is, look, some people are leaders and some people are followers, right? And entrepreneurs, the leaders. Okay, so they have that mindset, I want to make money with money, I want to invest here and there. And there are other people that, I'll do a 9 to 5 job, or I work for someone, it's easy for me, less headache, right? Businesses definitely comes with a lot of hurdles, lot of challenges, right? So tell me a few things about how you overcame challenges. Did you like it? Did you take it as, oh no, not again? Or did you take it as like, come on, game on and so forth?
Look, don't get me wrong, having a 9 to 5 job, it's not a bad thing.
Nope.
Sometimes even I have wished, oh, why can't I just have a job? This business is doing my head in, or this crisis in my business is creating problems for me, or whatever. But what it is when you're kind of when you're in business for such a long time, or you see business around you, you become resilient. And even if a problem comes your way, experience sort of helps you overcome those issues. There's no problem that in the last 17, 18 years, I feel that I've faced lots of different types of problems, but also I've also had a lot of support as well.
Right.
Because my dad, my brothers, my mum also, these people are there to kind of guide you in a way, even though they're not directly involved in the business with you. They're there to kind of mentally support you as well. Right. Even if they say, look, son, don't worry. You will overcome this hurdle. That's a a nice
encouragement.
It's an encouragement. It's also like a confidence boost for you. So those things have helped me. The business that our main business, which is Tower Tandoori, has been this year it's celebrating 45 years. We have another restaurant in Surrey, which is Surrey's oldest Indian restaurant.
Wow, really? What's that called?
It's in a small village called Godalming.
Right.
It's called Farncombe Tandoori.
Okay.
Again, look, it's had its ups and downs. But we've found a way to make it work. We've been lucky because our grandfather or our dad has made sure that these businesses also have a future by making sure that the property and everything is that it's in our kind of it's ours, rather than having to deal with rent and all those things. So those things, they might seem small, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, this is what makes a business resilient.
So what would you say to, I'm sure a lot of restaurant owners are watching this program, and if you are watching, then we've got a young chap here, young entrepreneur. He's enjoyed the years that he spent in his father's restaurant, now his restaurant, but also his grandfather was involved in that. He's taken up challenges, hurdles and stuff like that. But we also know that the Indian trade, specifically, if not other trades, the Indian trade is in trouble. Now, what would you say to the viewers with regards to the Indian trade and how you took over and made changes?
Look, Sasa, I think I'm one of those kind of optimistic people. I always see the glass half full.
Right.
So even if there's like the worst time, we've been through recessions, we've been through COVID. You always have to find a silver lining. And in business, I think most business people, I think the people that are listening, or my peers, even yourself, we always find a silver lining, and we always have hope. As business people, the main thing that we survive on, I would say, is hope. Indian restaurants, look, there's nothing wrong with our trade per se, in my opinion. Right. It's how we perceive it. So look, I'll give you like a really simple example. Before the Deliveroo and Uber Eats and Just Eat kind of a takeover came about, most Indian restaurants or takeaways, they had 1 or 2 drivers. We were a very busy takeaway, especially in London. Like we were delivering before any Indian restaurant could even decide it. So I would say we're one of the first Indian restaurants to start a delivery service in the 90s. So we had about almost 8 to 9 drivers. But when Deliveroo came along and Uber Eats came along, we jumped on the bandwagon, and we found that they were doing a better job for us than we could do ourselves. Because running a restaurant and running a delivery service, and running 8 or 9 different personalities isn't an easy feat, you know.
No, I'm sure.
So we found that Deliveroo and Uber Eats were doing something for us which was beneficial for our business. Yes, they are taking a commission, but not many, I would say, Indian restaurants or restaurants in general have actually employed 8 to 9 different delivery men on said night.
Absolutely.
And face the kind of like the problems of managing them. So that's one thing I would say. The other thing is restaurants, any business, not just restaurants, has to sort of think about its growth.
Yeah.
Like every year it has to look at its figures. It has to look and see, is it growing every year?
Yeah.
Now, if it isn't growing, then it needs to change, and it needs to make improvements, and it needs to find a different way of running that business. So one thing that we do is, well, our restaurant is very well located in Tower Bridge. We depend on our neighbourhood. We depend on the London Bridge and Bermondsey area. However, I would say 80% of our customers are tourists.
Absolutely. Yes, because you're in that
we're in
region,
that catchment area. Now, it didn't happen overnight.
No.
This took, I would say, approximately 10 years for us to become we went from neighbourhood restaurant to tourist restaurant. Okay. And we're slowly...
So my question was, with the difficulties that we're facing right now, so you would say that, yes, the restaurant trade in itself, whether it's Indian or whatever,
it's a difficult industry anyway.
But you need to adapt, right?
Of course, yeah.
So whatever comes. So when you mentioned Uber Eats and Deliveroo, when they came,
yes,
what did you have to change just to adapt and get them on board as well? Because they were here to stay, not to go away.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So you had to use them.
Of course, yeah. We jumped on the bandwagon on day one.
Yeah.
We didn't mess around. They came to us because we were one of the biggest
A
restaurants.
lot of us, we don't like changes, you see, especially in our trade. A lot of people, they don't like changes. A lot of people, any changes that come, they don't want to adapt. They want to stay with their... What would you say to that?
In the beginning, we're always skeptical. We were very late with Just Eat.
Yeah.
We didn't jump on the bandwagon. We thought, oh my God, how are these people going to pay us? What if somebody pays cash? What if they don't pay us?
They're bringing our customers anyway, and all that. These are things that I get when people talk about Deliveroo.
Exactly. But then when you see like Deliveroo and Uber Eats, we even had Amazon contact us. Okay. Amazon started their own one as well, but it didn't last.
Wasn't Hungry House one of the first
Hungry
ones?
House, we were the second. We based in Kennington, not far from us. We were the second restaurant in the whole area to be involved with Hungry House. Okay. Now, the thing is, when they bring you that volume, when they bring you that ease, and they bring you a sort of a comfort in a way, and they've always become a partner in your business, which is not a bad thing. If they're going to deliver to a 4 to 5 mile radius, and they're going to give volume, and they're going to make sure the drivers are on time, and they're going to make sure the food is delivered on time, then look, to be honest, it's a no-brainer.
No, it is. I mean, in our businesses, we've also we got all these guys on board, right? And the way I look at it, and the businesses are different. Some of them we do delivery, some of them we don't. But the ones we don't do delivery, we just see these are extra business they're giving us because we don't do deliveries. But they do deliveries for us.
For you,
So it's just an extra, whatever amount they give, and we can also increase the price slightly as well for their commission. So yes, you don't really lose out. Okay, well, thank you for that. Now, you're a family man as well, right?
Yes, I'm married and I have 2 children.
Fantastic, right? So, would you like your kids to be involved in business, or would you like them to be very academic? And how do you cope with? I understand the small children.
Yeah.
You probably got school runs and stuff like that as well. Yeah. So how do you cope with that? That would be my first question. Okay. And secondly, would you like them to be involved?
Okay. First question.
Trade.
How do I cope? Well, I've got a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. Currently summer holidays, so we are going on holiday in a couple of weeks, whatever. But my wife is very helpful. She does most of the school runs. I do pick my kids up from school now and again. I don't want them to feel that I haven't been involved in their lives or whatever.
That's a very important part, by the way.
Of course, of course. And I like to be involved in, if they have like sports days and music nights and school plays and everything. I want to be there. I'm that kind of person. Right. Look, if you've got children, or if you're committed to something, you will always find a way. And yes, business is important, but who are you doing it for? What are you doing it for? You need to kind of You need to like sit down, look in the mirror, and why did my grandfather do it? Why did my dad do it? If you think carefully, you know that they've done it for their family. So at the end of the day, we all do. We do everything for our loved ones.
I'll tell you something about businessmen, right? And I'll mention that at the end of the show, or afterwards. But businessmen or businesses, they offer a lot to the community, to the country, to the fellow peers, and I mean, in a nutshell, we're talking about others. So rather than themselves, whether they like it or not, whether their intention is selfish or selfless, in any case, they offer a lot to the community. And I'll tell you how in a bit. Now,
the other question was about...
back to Suhel, yes. So
the other question was about...
Kids,
okay, and how I want them to sort of develop in their own careers.
Yeah, sorry, I had to get that in.
Sorry,
That's fine.
My daughter and my son, 9 years old and 5 years old, children have their own personalities, as we did.
You take them to the restaurant, right?
I do. So
what do they do when they go to the restaurant?
It's a summer holidays, so I gave them a day of work experience.
Right.
So they dressed up. My boy was all nicely suited and booted. My daughter, she had a very nice kind of Indian kind of salwar kameez and everything. And what they did was they greeted the customers.
Wow.
They spoke to the customers. They asked them how the food was. They spoke to them and just communicated with them. So
that's brilliant.
What I want from that is
you're planting the seed.
I think in the same way, my dad. He didn't really push us into the restaurant.
No.
He gave us a taste of the restaurant, and we fell in love with it. So I think that's
same thing happened with me, and I'll tell you, and it's brilliant the way it works. Look, I know the show's not about me. But, it's about you. But,
it's not about me either.
But I say this all the time when I say a little bit about myself. From the age of 15. We've still got a couple of restaurants in the Ealing area. And from the age of 15, I went to the restaurant weekend jobs, as everybody, you've probably done the same thing.
Yes, of course.
My older brother, he gave me the same thing. He gave me the taster. I even peeled onions and potatoes and everything in the kitchen. And then he said, you know what, you're probably going to be good for the front. So
he realized you talk too much to the chefs.
I came to the front, and I think I was brilliant at it, and everybody liked me. I was an outgoing person with that kind of personality and so forth. And that's where the seed was planted,
of course,
right? So then I, obviously studied. I did consultancy, mortgage, even had my own interior firm, with construction work and stuff like that. So many things. But you know what? I wouldn't change being in the restaurant.
It's made you who you are.
I love it, and I'm sure you do, because you see, it's therapeutic, I think.
Definitely.
Right.
It keeps us
and the
young.
reason I'm saying this, the reason I'm mentioning this to the viewers is because a lot of people have a negative viewpoint about, you're a restaurant owner. But you know what? Let me mention the biggest stars in Hollywood, right? You're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're talking about Sylvester Stallone. What do they have now?
Shah Rukh Khan,
they have restaurants. They have restaurants. So why did they do that? So if somebody says to me, you've been through, why did you go through all this? And then I said, no, because look, these people, they done all the hard work, and then they settled with the restaurant. I've settled with the restaurant from the beginning. Do you understand? I love it. So tell me about you being in the restaurant. How does it work on your mindset?
Look, my dad, my uncle, they were very much kind of into education. They wanted us, my two cousins and my younger brother, at the time there was 4 of us, they took us through private education. They ensured that we had a degree. They ensured that we did a further level of education. I did a master's. So everything was done while I had a part-time job at the restaurant. The rule was, you must also learn about life. You cannot just, look, there's a Bengali saying, Shikkar lage doshmon akhol lage. Which is
I haven't heard that one before, but that's a good one.
That's a new one, that's a new one for you. So basically what I'm getting at here is, the education side is fantastic. Everybody must have a certain level of education, which is fine. However, they must also learn to communicate with the world around you. And the restaurant offers that. So
Practicality as well.
Practicality, yeah.
And I think, I've seen a lot of doctors, and some of them are my
Rishi
friends.
Sunak used to work at Kudisas restaurant in Southampton.
No way, really?
So there you are.
Really?
Yeah.
And he's a multiple.
Prime Minister.
Well, he's a prime minister. But I mean, look at it. I mean, how fascinating is that? Now, what I was getting to, like I said, people have negativities, right, with the restaurant trade. But why do they have this? Because you're you got a master degree, right?
Yeah.
You could have been doing so many other things, but you love the restaurant trade.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm mentioning practicality is, when you do things with your hands, okay, you can see a lot of stuff on the YouTube, or you can read a textbook, and you can read so much, right? And the doctors do this and so forth, right? But now, when they use their own hands, right? When they use their own eyes and they practically do it, it's a whole new ball game, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is when you do this, communicate with customers, even maybe do the dishes or whatever. I think that molds you.
Yeah,
that makes you a better person.
Well. Yeah, it keeps you humble.
That keeps you humble as well. And I know a lot of people. They're very, very educated. But when it comes to making a cup of tea, okay, maybe not a cup of tea. Maybe
Anything,
maybe a little bit something a little bit more sophisticated, like frying an egg.
It's
is that
difficult
sophisticated?
for them, yeah.
They don't like it because the practicality is not
running a restaurant or running a business.
Yeah.
You end up doing not just the kind of the labor-intensive things, but you have to know about accounting.
Yeah.
You have to know about marketing. Yeah. You have to know about HR. Yeah. You have to know so many things to run any business.
Definitely.
When people think about restaurants in general, they think all we're doing is peeling onions all day. But the thing is,
and smell of curry.
Yeah.
But you know what? I have more respect for a person who runs a restaurant. Right, I would say, and not to put anybody else, in any other way, looking at them in any other way, but I have more respect for a person who runs a restaurant, because I know what he goes through, and I know the good parts and the bad parts as well. So all you restaurant owners out there, you're doing a good job, and keep on, because at the end of the day, look, you're feeding people, right, and there's nothing better than that, I would say. So thank you, Suhel, for that. Now. We know, and this is what I mentioned earlier on, about how restaurant owners or businessmen, how they give back to the community now, and how they involve in so many things. Now, most businesses, we know that they're involved in charity work.
Yes.
Right? They sponsor events.
Of course, yeah.
They, apart from feeding a lot of people and, providing jobs, and this is what I meant by, if you're in business, you're doing it for others. Whether you like it or not, you might be the most selfish person, just thinking about putting money in your pocket. But you have to provide jobs, right?
Yeah.
You have to give people wages, right?
That's it, of course.
You have to be involved in advertisement, marketing, and, it could be a charity. Yeah. It could be, something one way or the other is serving humanity.
Of course,
right? So you yourself, I'm sure you're involved in charity work.
Yes.
And how are you involved in it, and what do you like about it?
Okay, so look, once you've sort of come to a conclusion that you're in business, you find ways of, I would say, giving back, because it also benefits not only you as a human being, but it also benefits your business, because from a PR point of view, So since 2012, I've been involved in a project which is basically a business association that helps residents and businesses that live on Tower Bridge Road, that runs from the roundabout, which is called Bricklayers Arms Roundabout, to Tower Bridge. Okay. So that not only shines a bright star above my head, but it also promotes Tower Tandoori, the business that I own there, in a good light, and it shows customers that we're not here just to sort of take your money. We're here to ensure that we have a great space for us to live, work, and visit. So that's something that I do in the community, as in my very, very local community, I would say. The other thing is we have been involved with various charities over the years. We've held charity nights. As a business, we've given back a lot in terms of feeding people during COVID. To celebrate our 45th year, we're doing something. I don't really want to say everything out, but what it is, we're doing something where we want to feed people who actually need food, not just for publicity, not just to say, we've fed some NHS workers. actually people that are homeless, people that cannot find money for their next meal. So like Crisis is a charity that we're working with.
Okay.
Another one is called City Harvest.
Okay.
It's called. So we're working with those.
That's what I meant by saying that how businesses are involved in helping the community, and COVID was a great example.
Of course, yeah.
Most of the people who did get food delivered to the houses, the old people, the vulnerable who couldn't come out, it was the restaurant trade, and the restaurateurs, and we say Indian business here, but most of them are run by Bengalis, right?
Yeah.
And we've got an organization called BBCA, and you're a part of that, right? Which is Bangladeshi.
British Bangladeshi.
Not to advertise them or anything, but I think they need to be mentioned because they are a body that did a lot of work in the COVID period, and you're a part of that. So and you see, and this organization again, it goes out. To help the traders, and it's a chain reaction because it helps the Indian trade, it helps the Bangladeshi restaurant owners, and at the same time, they providing for the community, they're giving a service and everything. So, we need bodies like this.
Definitely, yeah.
But going back to, and we're getting to the end of the show now, so, just for our viewers, if you were to give them 3 tips, as a young person, as somebody who's been in business for a while now, and you've got, you're probably more experienced than some of us. So, what kind of tips would you give them? 3 tips.
3 tips. Okay. I would say number 1 tip would be surround yourself with good people.
Okay.
So that means if you've got a dad or an uncle or a family member who's in business, stick close with them because you'll learn a lot from them. And that also goes for like having very good friends who are kind of in business. If you spend time with like-minded people who have the same goals, then you're very likely to be successful because their influence or their encouragement will take you a long way. So that's number 1, I would say. Number 2, I would say, it's a cliche, but do what you enjoy.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy it, you're never going to be good at it.
Okay.
So make sure you at least enjoy it. Even if you're good at window cleaning, try and find some commercial value in it and try and make some money from that, And number 3 is, I think, be yourself. Don't live in an illusion.
Yep.
Black is black, white is white, yeah?
Absolutely, yes.
There's no point in sugarcoating something or whatever. Just be true to yourself, and then you'll see that you get further in life, I think.
Fantastic. Thank you, Suhel. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor.
Absolutely. And for the viewers, 3 beautiful tips that Suhel has given us, which is surround yourself with good people. And there's a saying, and because he mentioned a Bengali saying before, I'll mention one. My dad used to say, "Shonge gone lua jole bashe," which basically means, the metal doesn't float on the sea or the water, but if it has got good people around it, or good, the ship is a good example. A lot of metal there, and it floats. So be with good people. Surroundings are good, and you'll be floating. Enjoy what you do, because there's no point in doing something that you every day come home and say, I wish I didn't have to go back to that. So enjoy what you do. I look forward to going to my restaurants or to whatever business I get involved in, even coming here. I look forward to it, and I love it. And be yourself. What better advice could Suhel have given? Be yourself. Don't imitate others. Don't try to follow others. Take good things from others.
Yeah. You can learn from them.
But be yourself. Okay. Once again, Suhel, welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
We're starting again.
We're starting again. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
And until our next entrepreneur show, guys. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.